Nice quick break, and we are back. And I said David versus Goliath. I'm not sure if I meant that, Nits, but certainly that Winter being extremely high in the standings in this field of grandmasters. A little bit surprising, but maybe not, given that he just had a pretty solid result at the Scrabble Players Championship last week. Winter's doing fantastically so far.
Absolutely. I saw his games against his one game against Wasim Khatri at SBC, where he really gave the Pakistani champion a run for his money. Winters, his playing is nothing to sneeze at. He's really, really good at what he does. It's great to see him on stream.
Yeah, Winter, I feel like he's been on the scene for a while. I think he holds the record for most tournament games played in a single year. He definitely has put in a huge amount of time over the board, but you never know when I don't feel like Winter has really spent that much time in his career actually studying the dictionary systematically. And you never know when people take it into their own hands and start to get serious about that preparation aspect. Winter has always struck me as a very strategically solid player. If he's added better dictionary command to his arsenal, it doesn't surprise me to see him hanging with the likes of Nsikak Etim and other grandmaster players in this division. So over to Winter, and he's got that first blank on his rack. But again, that J, which has beguiled pretty much all of our players in our first games of the morning, Nits.
Absolutely. And I don't think Winter's about to let it be an albatross around his neck. I think he's going to get down jive on the board, making EL. And I think he's just going to be rid of it so he can play a bingo next turn. But he doesn't know, however, is that a team's got a blank of his own. And it's yet another one of those games where we've seen the blanks way out in the beginning. It really takes some of the volatility out of the rest of the game.
Oh, he had it down and then he picks it up. He's likely thinking about, do I really want to give such a good scoring spot back under the J? But maybe he's going to think to himself, well, I've got an O. If I play jibe, I have an O here. And my opponent at team just played lie, which I would read as he's likelier to have four tiles that are low pointers, good bingo tiles. So maybe not so damaging to underlap that J. So your odds of escaping with making a big scoring spot like that and not getting hammered might be a little bit better. So we'll see what he elects to do. I agree with you that I like jibe.
That's a good point about him reading a team is keeping low point bingo friendly tiles, because that would explain him putting down boy as he's doing right now, which gives back less and makes it harder, I would say, for a team to play a bingo, except perhaps on top or making boys, I guess.
That's really impressive. That is the play that the engine is liking best by a lot. I don't know if I would ever play this because it seems so natural to get rid of the J, but the computer engine likes Winter's play by a pretty solid margin, and I'm really impressed with his ability to generate that as a choice and play it here.
That's incredible. I guess it's up to the team now to see his 3 tile overlap bingo underneath. Do you think he's going to find this? I mean, the chat has seen well, they found the pattern here. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it looks like he is going to designate the blank. I could see the card, an M, which I know that looks kind of weird compared to S, sissier. That's a normal word. Hissier, even kissier, but missier is also valid. And I wonder whether Winter is going to give this an extra 5 points just to make absolutely sure. That could be a calculated choice on the part of a team to basically say, I'm going to pick the most obscure choice here and try to bait Winter into challenging it. But Winter doesn't seem to even be thinking twice about that. he is very likely looking at just playing jive underneath here, leaving EO blank, which gives him a great chance of coming back with something very strong as long as Etim doesn't play in that spot himself. So I like the thinking here by both players so far.
Absolutely, and great recognition on Winter's part. He has the option to burn his blank, but I don't think it's a good idea for him to do so. Jive is as good a play as any. In fact, I think this is a really good move. This is clearly one of his top options.
It's been suggested that he could burn his blank here and score 60, 59 technically going across, which might be worth it in some cases, but I don't love that it leaves EV. That feels like if it was something a little bit better to follow up with, I might want to go ahead and play that. But I actually really like this big lane that I feel like a lot of Etim's next plays are very naturally going to be in this spot. He's going to have to take a point sacrifice if he wants to play down here. Plenty of 5-tile plays that Etim can draw will go here and leave this new lane that Winter has created unobstructed. So Winter's chances of actually getting to cash in his big play are relatively high. And you can see that, in fact, Etim plays jibe. He didn't really have anything good in the other spot on the board, Nits.
Yeah, he covers his bases. He puts down jibe, and yeah, it's a great place if you're gonna play something. It's giving you points, and it's gonna stop that double sevens lane. And I believe Winter has multiple bingos to pick from, so I can't imagine him missing them. He's probably going to play through the R, get himself a double. That is a 4-time multiplier to his score plus the 50 points for his bingo. Something like Enderons making that blank an E would be pretty high probability and would be a good play here.
You're right, but there are, unbeknownst to Winter, the play that he picks matters a lot. I'm so curious to see what he plays. It looks like he is going to play Enderons in that spot. We'll see what he makes the blank. Looks like he's ticked the I, which does make it a little bit more difficult for Etim to play through here. An E, which you could also make that blank an E, makes it a little bit easier. But the thing about this is that Etim has the 7-letter word net-like on his rack, and had Winter played Tendrons or something like that in the same spot, he would give up the bingo of tent-like back to Etim. So I don't really know which bingo is objectively the best, but Winter has picked the one that works out a little bit better for him in this position.
Fantastic. Wow, great. And Winter is picking up his tiles now, so I wonder if he was on hold for a little bit, and his opponent has now either accepted the play or the courtesy draw. But yeah, Etim is not going to have a bingo this time as he would have had through that T. But he does have a great spot for his K that Enderons has opened up if he were to play parallel to that, something like just eke, to eke out a win or eke out an earning. That would play just perfectly well there.
Yeah, that looks really good. I have every expectation that he is going to see that spot quickly. I think first he will imagine, if I have anything here, what could it be? How do I get the K in this spot going all the way to the triple? And the answer is there are no words that allow him to do that. He only has plays like Inkle that just don't score very well. It scores 27. Eek, which you pointed out, scores 35 and leaves a significantly superior leave. So love that play. I guess the only question for Etim, will he want to tack his L on? This is also a valid word, leak right here. That's interesting. I'm not sure if it makes it easier. To my eye, it might make it slightly more difficult to play across to the triple, and a team might like that defensive aspect of that play.
I like that suggestion. I would also play leak here then. And it's still a good lead. You keep TINE, that's bingo prone tiles. That's a really good move. And I believe a team is just considering his options. He might see Tinkle. He might be considering that, or Inkle, as you suggested. But yes, Eek is a perfectly good play here.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And Winter is quickly playing off his cue. So that makes a lot of sense as far as really that has to be his best place to play his cue here. But I'm just wondering, the AARRR leave is just so gross, and it just worries me a little bit of, he's going to be in some trouble on his next move without the perfect draw. So maybe that is the best move that he has, but it is oh my gosh, look at that. He's so close to one of the many variants of ARG Nits. I don't think he has a 7-letter ARG, but that's a great draw for him.
Oh my God, that is incredible. You keep triplicate R's and like duplicate A's, and you do not expect to draw into a G and an H. Wow, that is, oof, he really could have been bailed out there. But I think he's going to use that L hook this time. He might just play something like Linty through the I and Enderons now that he's saved that L for this turn, because he does not have any necessarily high scoring moves here. His tiles are pretty low scoring, so just 1-point tiles that don't make a bingo on this board. He's eyeing the word lie for maybe for 8 points, making EE and Enderons, maybe.
So lie for just
I'd be surprised if he played that.
Yeah, I think Linty here looks fantastic. The problem is this is not a word that you might immediately know to be valid. I think this is an obscure variation. Even if you knew this word as an S hook, you might not be sure whether it's spelt with a Y or an IE. I guess the answer technically is both. So that's a word that would be very difficult to remember the validity of. So instead, we do see lie, keeping a very strong bingo leave. And now Winter with ARG on his rack. And he's going to have to, I don't know if he's thinking about playing a variation of this. I actually don't see, Nits, that he can play a variation of ARG in a productive way here.
I don't know if there's a spot for this 6-letter ARG that he's got set up. He might just end up having to play something like Jagra, or as the chat suggested, Jara, Jarrah, depending on which one he sees.
Yeah, that's a nice one. That's a tough one to spot, but that looks like a great way to shed 2 of the 3 R's in one go. That looks like a good option, but there's definitely, there's going to be others that are appealing to him here. Jagra maybe a little bit more findable for him in this position. Yeah, it certainly looks like there will be no shortage of options for Etim on his next turn, especially after this. He's already looking at playing Ezine here for a very large score, but it would get even better after Jara, as Etim would respond with Toes for 78 points in response. So a very nice, flexible rack. This is why we really like the Z in Scrabble. It just gives you so many powerful scoring options.
Absolutely. And now, Eaton's got a great move ahead of him. He's got that Z to, hammer home with that E in Guide. He's probably going to play Ezine very, very quickly here and get 72 points from that.
Yeah, you're right. Look how fast it went down. So very, very quickly, that's a bingo score. Obviously, bingoing using all of your tiles to get an extra 50 points. But usually when you make plays like that, it scores in the 60s, 70s, 80-point range. And Etim just got 72 points for this play of Ezine, which is every bit as powerful as most of the bingos that you're likely to see. So pretty impressive play there. Yeah, we'll just see what Winter does here. A pretty insane play that I don't think I would see. Just pointed out in the chat that is absolutely everything Winter wants here through this eye of Enderons, as I was about to draw on here. Just imagine this is an eye, not a blank. Winter has Rip Wrap through this eye using both of his R's and both of his P's for 44 points. That would be a very Nigel Richards finds that every time. But I don't know who else is going to see that each and every time, Nits.
That's incredible. And to know Rip Rap, I imagine he would have had to study Rip Raps. He's more likely to have learned the 7 as opposed to the 6, just because of how we learn words in Scrabble. It is a very low probability bingo Rip Raps, so I don't know if he's likely to have seen it. He has HAP to the side. I wonder if he's going to add an R to that, make harp.
Yeah.
Where perhaps the S of Enderons is. That would be a good play there. 34 points. That's perfectly reasonable.
That's a great play. This is a much more findable and solid play. I cannot fault Winter whatsoever for making this play. This undoubles both of his P's and R's. It gives him a solid leave to work with next turn. This play makes a ton of sense. Really just for, the edification of the audience here, we would point out that Rip Rap was available. But yeah, this is a much more normal play and well done to Winter to spot that and just continue on. So we'll see what he draws. Oof, no vowels to help him here. Oh, there's one, but that's not what he was hoping to see come out of the bag there on that draw.
That's tough. That's really the tile gods just kind of scoffing at you a little bit. And for Etim, he's gonna have to figure out what to do with these tiles, which look kind of synergistic, but also kind of what are you gonna do on this board? And I don't know, that Eek play is really coming back again and again for the possible plays that someone could be playing to the triple. For example, he's got Die Atom making Deek over there, and I don't know if that's something that is easily findable because of that I being a blank, because of that Eek hook. It's kind of tough.
Yeah, those are pretty high degree of difficulty plays. There's a lot challenging about that. First of all, I always find it difficult. I feel like we mentioned this earlier, Nits. Working with the blank tile is not as easy as working with the actual genuine article. I feel like it would be easier, to play through that tile if it was just an I instead of a blank. You have to have a little bit of extra dexterity to think about what that tile represents as opposed to being able to look at the letter right there. So yeah, that's one thing. And then the other is that finding a 6-letter word through an I with a hook to Eek going across is just a high degree of difficulty find. It looks like Etim has spotted his highest scoring play here of Die Atom, which is a fantastic play on his part. Pointed out also, he had Tomcat right here making some hooks, but this scores 4 more points and leaves 2 solid bingo tiles for next turn. Very, very nicely done by Etim on that move.
That was beautifully done. Oh my gosh. It is not every player that you will find who's able to do that. You have to look through that I, which is already a blank, as you mentioned. You have to find that 6-letter word. That is rough. Oh my gosh. And on to Winter, he's got these consonants to struggle with, but I think he's perhaps eyeing Fjord through the
Yeah.
O that just opened up.
It says a lot that this play of Fjord is about as good as it gets. The only other options that seem clearly worth consideration, other than that, would be something like Virid through this I, which at least gets rid of the V that was on his rack at a cost of giving back a much more potentially lucrative scoring spot right there. And then the really obscure one of Eurived Nits. Have you ever seen that word before?
Yes. Yes, I have.
It's a messed up one.
And it's a past tense, so I don't believe it takes an S.
Yeah, that's true. So that might have been worth consideration. Anyway, it's back over to Etim. He has 2 C's on his rack. He drew a bunch of consonants. The one vowel that he has does give him a solid 32-point play, putting him up 50. But man, Winter had a pretty nice draw here. He's got over apt on his rack, and it will play if he sees the P hook of plie at the top of the board, Nits. Do you think he's going to spot it? I think maybe some latency issues happening here.
Absolutely.
Oh, there we go. Sorry.
Oh, wow. That was beautifully, yeah, great find. Plie, a dance move in ballet. I don't know if Winter's done much of ballet, but as someone who has, kudos to him for finding that. That's a great, yeah, that's really well done. It's a hard spot and beautiful. Yeah, he's really showing why he's at the top of the standings right now.
Yeah, and look at Team's tiles. It's absolutely agonizing. He would have hoped to have at least 1 or 2 vowels, and that would allow him to at least do something with this open triple. But because Etim has all 7 consonants, he can't do almost anything about this big new spot. So depending on what Winter draws, he could be hugely in the driver's seat here. That being said, there are some dangerous tiles coming. Literally all 4 U's are lurking. Winter's only drawn 1 of them, but it is paired with that W, which is going to constrict things just a little bit. But either way, Winter taking the lead with his nice bingo, and now Etim is in a world of hurt with all these consonants. It looks like he's going to exchange them all right here.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
interesting. I wonder if there wasn't a 1 or 2 of those worth keeping here. Potentially he wants to get that last S, and he's going as hard as he can to get it. I don't know, Nits. What do you think?
I kind of would have liked to keep at least an N or a T, maybe NG. I'm not really sure, but definitely I feel kind of uncomfortable exchanging all 7. That's a lot of volatility. But yeah, perhaps he's really going for that S, I guess.
Yeah, it feels like keeping at least some consonants might have been good. And oh, look at this. You can see the first 4 tiles on his
Oh
rack,
my gosh.
but he does draw 2 consonants to save him. But yeah, just think about how much better his tiles would be now if he kept even 1 consonant on his exchange. And maybe a slight missed opportunity for him here. And Winter playing Faw at this base of the board, at the middle of the board. He does have Fault available here alongside Jagra for 40 points, which would have been a lot of extra points for him to collect, and it would have used up the U. Let's see if Winter draws more U's, which he may regret here.
That would be rough. Lucky for him, there's only about 2 U's left in the bag, I think, right now. Or yeah. Okay, there we go. He's home free, but Etim still doesn't have very inspiring plays. I guess just Yuvia through the V and over app to get rid of some of that junk. I mean, DORE is a perfectly respectable leave. This is tough. This is tough for him.
Yeah, very, very tough. Both players are in a tricky situation, but of course, Winter should be very Oh, look at this. Evade. Okay. So this is a way to really grab at as many points as possible for a team. I wondered if he was going to play something a little more balanced, but the board isn't very good for bingos anyway. So maybe it's okay to just grab the points. For me, I might have considered just Uvia in that spot, but of course, I don't have an S, and maybe a team doesn't want to turn the game into a race for that last S. So there's a lot to consider here for sure, Nits.
Yeah, I mean, with two L's still out in his perspective, perhaps Uvia would have been okay because there's the S and the two L's to go for. I don't know. I mean, evade is kind of dangerous with the two U's, well, three U's for him unseen. It's kind of tough.
Yeah, that U, let's see. Both players are tempting fate by not playing their U's, and a team draws outrated
My
to the
gosh,
D. He's drawn a bingo that plays right here. The game is so close,
insane.
and Winter is going to struggle to score enough points here. If he tries to block the board, he probably feels like he has to grab as many points as he can elsewhere. And that's going to allow a team to play outrated, probably out trade is what he'll play instead for some defensive merit, not opening the triple lane. But wow, what a swing. Winter, after playing so well for most of this game, is in a bit of a sticky spot right here.
Yeah, what is Winter to even do here? Does he just keep going for the points? Play something like Glut and Shog? I mean, I think he's setting a plug on his rack right now. That will get him 21 points. With a board like this, that's a decent score. There's not really much more that he can do than like 24 odd points here and there. This is rough. Like, I mean, does he take the chance to act, like block that opening over there?
I think the play that might save him would be to play Kagul, which I just put on the board right into this E. That would have blocked everything and made it a little bit more difficult to bingo. But instead, Winter playing plug, that's a very normal play. And keep in mind, Winter could draw something through these tiles of outrated. It's definitely possible as a team going for the extra 2 points instead of the slightly safer out trade, maybe not thinking of out trade, willing to open the triple lane here. Very curious to see what Winter draws. And oh my gosh, he's got the X, but maybe not enough ammo to go with it. Oh, the X. This is insane, Nits. There's a spot for the X right here if Winter can see cow wall. This
Oh my
crazy
gosh.
insertion play right here scores 48 points, which would put him back in the lead. That is an incredibly high degree of difficulty play.
That is ridiculous. And I can promise you, I would not even be looking there. I think something as simple as like XU on top of plug would just
Yeah.
be, yeah, would be where it'd be going, get those points, move on. I don't know. This is crazy.
XU, much more natural play, and that would give Winter a narrow lead. I just think, I mean, from his perspective, it puts him in a tough spot. A team would be able to plan out the end game pretty well. After XU, there would be one tile in the bag. A team, depending on what he gets, maybe he'll get 3 ends and be in a really, really difficult spot here. That's definitely possible. Let's see. Oh, he drew that last S too. So a huge draw for a team to really help him. But oh, look at that.
Oh, wow.
Yikes. So this is really fascinating because now with all those one pointers, a team is going to struggle to score. And Winter doesn't know this, but the H is lurking for him in the bag. So if he plays XU here, he has very good odds of pulling the H to pair with so many other nice tiles that like being around the H. So this is actually, I have no idea what's going to happen from here on out in this game, Nits.
Oh yeah, this is crazy. I mean, I'd be surprised if Winter doesn't play XU because I mean, I guess he could play it on top of outrated, but that's not a lot of points. He's looking at this, he's looking at this pool. He's wondering, what am I going to be hit back with, or what is he going to draw? Geez, this is incredibly complicated. Perhaps, yeah, if he's not going to see Cowl and Rax XU and just cross your fingers, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, even though Cowall scores a bunch more points, it is worth something to get rid of this U, not only because there's another U lurking that you would hate to draw, but also just because the A is going to be a way more flexible tile to pair with the rest of your letters on your next move. So it's really not the end of the world to just play XU here anyway. Makes a lot of sense, and it's something that you would even consider if you saw that crazy A hook in between there. And man, this is going to be a tough situation for a team here. I think his best bet might be just to try and burn through as many tiles as possible here and hope that you can maybe draw that H in the end game and keep pace. I really have no idea how to do that. Something like Notion here, maybe untripling your ends and trying to just draw something that lets you go out next turn. Maybe that is the best idea. It's crazy to feel like from a team's standpoint, he got his miraculous bingo Nits and he's still in a world of hurt.
Yeah. Oh gosh. It's what even does he do? I guess if he draws, I guess, okay, so he could hope to draw the H out of the bag and maybe play ifs and nah, perhaps next time for 33 and hope that that's going to be enough to see him through this very tight end game. I don't know. I guess, oof, I can't imagine him being able to win this off often. Ooh, okay, tough, very tough.
Yeah, this is crazy. So it's been pointed out that Winter actually he had this on the previous move as well, I guess. But Winter has the very obscure six-letter word of Motuka that goes right here with Fa. That would be an extremely impressive play. It's a really obscure word, but that definitely would score a lot of points and make things very difficult on that team in the end game, depending on how many points he scores right now. So, man, this is absolutely brutal. I just don't exactly know what to do if I'm a team other than burn through as many tiles as I possibly can. Maybe even tacking on the S with notions is the key play here. You might have to do that so that whenever you draw the one tile that you draw from the bag, if a team plays notions right here for 21 points, you block the triple for Winter, first of all, and then you ensure that pretty much no matter what you draw, you're going to go out next turn somewhere. The only question is how much. And there's definitely, with N, for example, NH, which he is going to draw, this play right here is going to be more than enough. Winter's not going to be able to outrun a play like that with the H. So I feel like Notions is pretty likely to be a winner for a team here. I'm very curious if he's going to go that route.
I would actually kind of want him to hold on to that S just for the flexibility. And I do think, I mean, if he sees that ifs and S8 spot, that's a good 33 points. maybe not a bad idea to hold on to that. He could pick up so many things, so many different things out of the bag. I'm thinking maybe if he keeps that S, he can hook it on to Jagras. If he gets that U, like US or something like that, I don't know. Gives him some flexibility after taking out that triple with Notion.
All right.
I don't know.
Look at this. Here he goes. He's found it. He has looked as hard as he can. And this is a play that should get the job done. Very impressive performance here by Etim under some pressure to identify the best pathway, at least in my estimation, to coming away with a win in this game. Very, very nicely done.
Yeah, that was incredible. Really well done.
I guess he hasn't committed it yet. Maybe he's going to pick it up or think better of it, but yeah, we'll see.
This play only wins if the H is in the bag, right? Like I think out of like all the draws, it only wins with the H.
Wow, is that really true?
My calculation could be completely off here, but I think that might be the case.
Wow. Okay. It feels like he should be okay some of the time. Maybe you just can't outrun Motuka. I think the issue is how many of the winning scenarios involve Winter finding Motuka, which is, that's a tough one. He might not do that every time. So in practical terms, this might win slightly more than optimal calculations suggest, but I am also curious now to see what happens in some of the other cases. So let's see. If he draws AN, what does Winter do? I'm very curious. No, Winter would not win if Etim drew an A. Let's try CN now. It's so curious. Obviously, in this case, oh, wow, there's other crazy stuff. If Winter had the H, he could play something like Halm here for 47. Oh, he's going to try a phony.
Oh,
okay. Yikes. So
I don't think
go ahead.
Scott to do that.
So I don't think this is that bad, given that his best play here of Motuka was not going to win the game anyway. So I think actually Winter's done well to just he's just basically figured out that he can't win this game without trying a desperation phony, but it's going to come off the board. Actually, that makes a ton of sense from Winter's perspective. He has no way to win this game, and Etim quickly laying down his best outplay. Crazy, Nits. Crazy finish to this one.
That was ridiculous. And good on Winter for trying, I mean, if he's going to lose anyway, he might as well go out, with a fight. That was an incredible game. It was just going every which way.
So final score is not indicative of how close this game was. Let's see what the players have to say here.
What am I thinking of? What am I thinking of without claim? Is there something with claim? I don't know that. If it's too deep in Collins, I'm not going to know it. There's really nothing like this? There's really nothing like that? No, I don't think. What am I thinking of? Oh. Oh, okay. Only reclaim. There's no and claim and reclaim.
Yeah. And claim, reclaim. And claim?
No, just claim and reclaim.
Yeah.
All right. Well done.
All right. Looks like we might not get too much other discussion of this one as Winter is agonizing over all of the claims that are valid, except for the one that he tried there. But hopefully, some consolation to him to know that after Notions and that H draw out of the bag, Winter was done for, and trying a desperation bingo Nits was a very reasonable choice for him there.
You know, we've all done it at least once. We've played a bingo that we weren't entirely sure of. We just, you know, crossed our fingers and hope we poured libations to the correct tile gods in the morning. So kudos to Winter. This was very strongly played, and he really did put up a great showing.
Yeah, for sure. A couple moves in this game, one way or another. Really, no, moves that you would look at and say, "Oh yeah, that was an instant game loser." But definitely some moves that could have gone either way. Really, for on Winter's side and even on Etim's side with that exchange 7 potentially getting him into some trouble, but he drew the bingo to finish this game. Well, really not finish the game off conclusively, but to revitalize his winning chances in this game. So that will do it for our morning session. Just want to give a brief update that so with Winter losing this game, I'm pretty sure that no matter what happens in the other games, well, that's actually not true. Josh Sokol has a chance of catching Wellington Jigare at 12 wins if Wellington drops his next game and Josh wins his game. So well done to Josh Sokol at the top of the standings. But either way, very strong performance, Nits, by the Nigerian contingent, who are threatening to be 1, 2, 3 at the top of the field at World Cup. That is amazing.
That's incredible. And I know this after having watched your videos on so many Nigerian players so far, the commentary that you've done for them, they are an extremely strong team coming, you know, to the States, and they're really showing just exactly how much work they've put in. This is just an incredible set of, you know, games to watch. And I'm so glad that I was here to be able to commentate. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm really excited to see where this tournament goes.
Yeah, it's going to be a treat. So we are headed into lunch break. You can see the room thinning out a little bit as players go get some sustenance. And I think we're going to do the same here with the stream. Going to take a break and come back in about an hour and 45 minutes with 4 games from the North American focused WoW division of play. Looking at the standings there, is a couple of results still to come, but Rafi Stern still doing very well, 13-3 pending his round 17 game. So we may be seeing a bit of him this afternoon, but either way, thank you so much to everybody who's watched this morning, and we will be back with the 2024 World Cup WoW division after a little bit of a lunch break. Thanks, everybody.